Please welcome to the stage, Kanan Gill! Good evening.
Hello, how are you? It's great to be back in India. I've been traveling the world a lot this year, so it's good to be back in Bangalore, where we have no need for small talk. Not a single. The best thing about India is you can look someone you don't know in the eyes and just fucking walk right past them. You don't deserve interaction. Not so the case in other countries. I was in North America getting a coffee, which is the national sport. And it's a whole, when you walk in, you have to first say, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm good, thanks. How are you?" "I'm good as well." "Hot outside, isn't it?" "It is hot." Then you can begin speaking. In this much time, the population of India has doubled. Don't do small talk. We do only big talk. Talk to an auntie. "Hello, beta. Hello. What is your yearly salary?" Haven't been away that long. Came back. Everything's different. All the airports now are silent airports. Yeah, they don't make any announcements at the airport anymore. The reason I know that is because they made an announcement to say that there will not be announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to let you know that this will not happen. Except for this one, which you will do every 3 minutes. And they do this to prevent noise pollution. India's biggest problem. The country is running out of water. They're like, at least they'll die quietly. So now, to prevent noise pollution, no announcements. People still have to catch their flight. So what they do is they'll send the guy from the airlines to personally come and scream in your face. Noise pollution prevented. Before, a simple announcement. "Go ahead, Goa passengers, report to gate number 3. Now there's one guy walking around. "Go ahead! Go ahead! Goa!" Doesn't even say he's from Goa. Seems like a fan of the airlines. "Go ahead! Woo!" You know, sometimes they're looking for a particular passenger because just a man standing and yelling looks like a couple having a fight. Standing there, "Mr. Patel! Hey! We are leaving! Oh, you said you were coming? Well, don't make promises. You can't keep, Mr. Patel." But thank you all for coming to watch the show. It's good time pass, no? To watch comedy? Yeah. That's an Indian concept. Time pass. Time pass is both an activity and a review of an activity. Works both ways. What are you doing? Time pass. How is the show? Oh, time pass. That is the worst thing you can say about a show. How did the show feel? Like the passage of time. Well, in India, we do time pass. Shows you how we think. That means I am there. Time will pass. Just have to do. Don't worry about it. In the West, they don't have time pass. They have pastime. Whole different thing. Pastime is like a hobby. It's something you do to pass time. People are like, "My pastime, it's writing actually." And we're like, "Well, we read your writing and it's time pass." First of all, you're late for our meeting. That's because time is relative. It's my uncle. Yeah, there you go. That's a PJ, I'll admit. Also an Indian concept, by the way. PJs, poor jokes, are an embodiment of how much we as a country enjoy suffering. what is a PJ? It's when you tell someone, hey, I'll make you laugh, and then you don't do it. The other person becomes angry, and you derive enjoyment from their disappointment. It's usually some awful pun, right? What's the city you can't enter? Ethnicity. You're like, "Ah, fuck you." I was expecting laughter. That'll teach you to expect. Let's get to it. You're probably wondering why I have this blackboard here. I keep this blackboard here so Indian people will pay attention. Yeah. Before, no blackboard, everyone's texting. Now I have this, you guys are all thinking, will this be on the exam? So what is this show about? This show is basically about, I found a letter that I'd written to myself when I was 15 with a list of goals and things I had to accomplish by now that I am a different age. I'll read it out to you in the voice I had then. Okay. To Kanan, brackets future. You know when you find something you did in the past, is there anything lamer than how you used to be? Remember previous versions of your personality? That summer you shook hands with everyone like this. When they came and you were like, oh. It's an area you don't even want to think about, no? It's like walking into a public toilet to find the lid closed. Something terrible has happened. Because the previous person, while leaving, was like, even I can't face what I've done. Found the letter? It goes like this. To Kanan, brackets future. Subject. Goals. Yeah, it's subject. It's a formal letter. You guys remember? Two kinds of letters. Formal letters, informal letters, distinguished by their format. What's the format of a formal letter? It's to, comma, then fucking below the comma. The address, which is inside the letter. How is it reaching? Then, subject. Can't forget subject. 2 marks for subject. The body of the letter, you can write whatever fucked up shit you want. No matter what you write, at the end, yours sincerely. And if you want to make it romantic, just take off the word sincerely. Yours. Oh, you're not even sincere about it. That's a formal letter, but informal letters, letters you write to your friends, also have a correct way and a wrong way. Date has to be on the left. Date has to be on the left. What kind of friends do you have? That are going to scrutinize a letter from Karan. I wonder what this is. The date is on the right? Well, this is the end of our friendship. And they make you write practice letters in school, right? And all the practice letters you write are addressed to a fictional friend who lives in boarding school. And they have a tone of moral superiority. Right? It's always, write a letter to your friend in boarding school, encouraging them to focus on their studies. Who is that kind of friend? Who knows you're doing badly, but is then writing letters? Dear friend, your mother told me you were doing poorly. Yes, she writes to me. You don't need to know why. Oh, me? I'm doing great. So perhaps focus on your education. Be more like me. Yours sincerely. Sometimes it's not clear what the tone of your letter should be. I remember one exam, we had an option of 2 letters, very different. Option A, write a letter to your friend in boarding school, wishing them a happy birthday, giving them a present. Sweet. Option B, write a letter of condolence to your friend who has just lost both of their parents. These are options for the same amount of marks. It's like, how do you choose? So what I thought I would do is I'll combine them. Write one letter that just happens to cover both subjects. So it's not clear which one I picked. Get double marks. The letter I wrote, "Dear friend, I am writing this letter to wish you a happy birthday, now that your parents are dead. And as a present, I am enclosing 2 cigarettes that you can smoke in peace now that they are off your back. I would encourage you to focus on your studies. Slightly more important now that you have no parents. I miss writing to your mother." Yours sincerely. Okay, so this is formal letter written to myself. It says, subject, goals for life. Okay. People have many goals. These days, more recently, people have hydration goals. That's a new thing that started. I have a friend, on his iPhone, he has a drinking water reminder application. Every 2 hours, his phone makes this sound. And then he drinks water like a Pavlovian dog. It's a piece of software for people who are secretly plants. That they feel thirsty and they don't know what the next step is. My goals are different, of course. I will read them out to you presently. Subject, goals for life. Dear sir, as a reflex more than anything. Goal 1, focus on your health. I don't know if you've noticed because I'm wearing black and black. Black floor, black board, black stool. I've put on a considerable amount of weight. I weighed myself today. I weigh 100 kgs. Yeah. Which is not even a weight anymore. That's a shipment. It's like a standard you can use to measure other things. How much does that car weigh? About 37 gills. What can I do? I'm medically not allowed to exercise. It's true. Yeah. See, I don't normally go to the doctor because I feel like if I go, they'll tell me I have some terminal disease, right? And if I don't go, they can't tell me. See. I feel like I'll go to the doctor, they'll be like, Mr. Gill, you have AIDS cancer. What is AIDS cancer? Well, you have cancer, and inside the cancer is a little bit AIDS. But if you cure the cancer, you'll get the AIDS. We're all impressed by how you've done this. But I was living with a symptom for a while, went to the hospital. This is how long I haven't been to a hospital. I went in, they're like, which doctor would you like to see? Medical? I don't know. What are the other kinds? They're like, no, which specific doctor that deals with your specific problem. So I was like, so I have to study and come. Shouldn't all of you know everything? I just looked at the name of the hospital, Vikrant Hospital. I was like, I would like to see Dr. Vikrant. They had one. Walked into his cabin. I was like, sir, first of all, big fan. Love what you've done with the hospital. He's like, what's the problem? Sir, I have a pain in my groin area for the last many years. He's like, okay. So I am an ENT surgeon. What would you like me to do? I was like, sir, then what if I stood upside down? You treat this as an ENT area where there's 2 ears. Then there's a nose for sure. Yeah, there's a big nose with a bend in the middle. Nose hair is on the outside. He's like, did you just come here because my name is Vikrant? I was like, yes, yes. Get out. He sent me to the actual doctor I'm supposed to go to his cabin. He's like, take off your pants. After I told him about the pain. It's not the first thing he says. Hello, welcome, take off your pants. What seems to be the problem? I am not wearing pants. I told him pain. He says, take off your pants. Then he does this. After which nothing good has ever followed. Unless you are distributing prasad. No one should be approaching you like that. Come. He does this, and he's like, place your testicles in my palm. Yeah. He's like, how about you place your palm underneath? What do you think is more mobile? Testicles or your full hand? What are you gonna stand in one corner of the room like this and I have to navigate? Sir, please, sir. Sir, come on. Sir, give me one chance. Sir, please. He's standing in the middle like a matador. After some running, contact was established. Then he was like, cough. Cough properly. I don't fucking practice coughing. Nice cough. He's like, okay, just wait here. I will go get the doctor. Then who were you? Are you the last patient? What, who was on his way out? I said, doctor. He's like, let me try. Finally, doctor comes. He's like, that's an assistant, don't worry. Thank God. Doctor says, go get an ultrasound. Sitting at the ultrasound clinic, 19 pregnant ladies. Why are you here? I'm expecting something. Walk into the ultrasound clinic, they're also like, take off your pants. Why do I wear pants then? Nurse says, take off your pants, lie on this bed, take this cold, transparent jelly, rub it on yourself, and then wait for the doctor. I was like, what an erotic situation. You are creating and abandoning. When the doctor comes, will he know you told me to do this shit? Or is it his birthday? This is the surprise. He walks in, I'm like, hello, doctor. Too weird. I took off my shirt also. I was like, fuck it. Right? It's less weird. You take off your shirt. I was wearing a formal shirt and then nothing. And then socks. Felt like I was flashing someone. Took off your shirt, you're like, oh, he planned this. Doctor comes in, he's like, oh, Kanan Gill? I am a fan of your comedy. It's like, great. You are in it now. Welcome to the comedy. He sees I'm a little uncomfortable. So he's like, Kanan, don't worry. I see lots of guys naked. I don't know why this hurt my ego. Even I can see if I try. Can. Starts doing the test. You know that thing that doctors do, which is like, does it hurt here? No. Does it hurt here? No. Does it hurt here? Yeah. Now? Still? Yes! Why would it hurt less if you press it more? His hand is halfway through my body, and he's like, cough. That's a great cough. Thanks. I got practice earlier in your hospital. He's like, Kanan, it looks like you have a hernia. What's that? Well, that's when your small intestine enters a different part of your body where it does not belong. I did not know this was a feature of the human body. Organs can just go wherever they feel like. What causes a hernia? He's like, you can get a hernia if you lift something heavy incorrectly. You're supposed to lift with your legs, not your back. You can get a hernia if you lift with your back, not your legs. It's like, well, this is the mistake I've been making, doctor. You see, this whole time, I've been lifting with my hands. When someone says, do you want to move a table? I say, yes, not of course. Let us lift. No hernia. He's like, okay, well, you'll need surgery. And until then, don't exercise. I was like, no problem at all. Anything else? He's like, yes, you should drink enough water. Goal number 2. Focus on your education. Brackets, studies. Big difference. Education makes you a better person. Studies gets you a job. Studies is the way to be a great man. We were studying about a great man at the time. At the time, we were studying William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, which, if you... Okay. If you haven't read, is time pass. Dude, in the starting of the play, they're like, we should kill Caesar. Then they kill him. No twist. Nobody jumps in front. Nothing. Or in the end, they're like, actually, it's all one guy. It's like Fight Club. Whoa. Regular. What happens in the play? 7 people stab Julius Caesar 23 times. Yeah. Just such a strange distribution. Everyone stabs him 3 times. That's 21. Means one person comes back. Hi, sorry. Can I get 2 more, please? I didn't enjoy earlier. I have a hernia, so I can't. Now, the last person who stabs Caesar is his best friend, Brutus. And Brutus stabs Caesar in the back for a metaphor. That was the first time that had ever happened. Yeah. He stabbed him in the back by stabbing him in the back. You understand? Even when Caesar got stabbed, he's like, ah. Oh. Very clever. Thanks, man. And when Caesar gets stabbed, he says the most famous lines in the play. He says, Et tu, Brute, which is Latin for you too, Brutus. And no one speaks in Latin at any other point in the whole play. It's only one line. Which means, if you get stabbed, you have to quickly make a choice. What's something cool I can say? So people will write plays about me. Last words are important. Choose wisely. If you get stabbed, you're like, Are yaar. No place. So if you get stabbed, some of you will get stabbed tonight. Just be ready with your last words. So when someone stabs you and you say something amazing, they're like, wow, you thought of that now? Man, I'm so glad I stabbed you. They don't know you've been holding on to it for 10 years. So it's best to die in a dead language. So Latin is good. Otherwise, Sanskrit, if you know, get stabbed like, aham gacchami. Please, write plays about this guy. It's fucking interesting. Yeah. That is correct Sanskrit for I am going. Yeah. Aham I, gacchami, I am going. Gacchamaha, let's both go. Gamishyati, I will go tomorrow. Yeah. I don't want to remember this stuff. I just can't forget it. You know, because I made a song to memorize it in 7th standard. That thing we did like prisoners of war sitting. Kamishati, kamishata, kamishata, kamishati, kamishata, kamishata, kamishati, kamishata, kamishata. Now it's the soundtrack of my nightmares. I wake up at 2 in the morning to pee. I'm like, kamishati, kamishata. Because so much of our education was based on memorization, right? But they call it learning by heart. Because the ultimate goal of the education system is to replace your heart with a textbook so that you can never die. Because you've never lived. Someone stabs you, they're like, oh, page 4. Haha. Cannot take life, I have none. The next goal. Take care of the dog. Not like a mafia, like, take care of that. We used to have a dog when I was like 15, and he had a skin condition, which the vet said is because he licks himself too much. Because he's bored. Then our family looked at each other like, what is happening in our house? That we have bored a dog. Doctor's like, no, he's just frustrated. So, because he wants to mate, so either you neuter him, i.e. cut off his balls, or get him mated. Obviously not a decision the children take. We're sitting, me and the dog, outside parents' room. Dog is also there. Mom comes out, they've made a decision. She says the most gangster sentence she's said in her life. She said, Karan, tomorrow, we have to find some bitches. Which is biologically accurate. Next year, the Gill family gets in a car, mom, dad, 2 kids, 1 dog. Go out, looking for bitches. No, not you. Now, some people provide a service where if you give them money, they will mate your dog with their dog. We went there, we're like, is this ethical? Are we encouraging dog prostitution? Thank you, my dog. Then we have to have another uncomfortable conversation, which is like, how much? And for how long? What is the unit of a sex? He says 5,000 rupees. We have no reference? Is this a great deal? Or an exorbitant amount? What if we pay someone in the evening like, I could have got you for 20 bucks. Paid 5,000. You think for 5 grand you get some arrangements, right? Like a bed with rose petals and a glass of warm milk, almonds, R&B music. Papa. Nothing. Takes us to the garden. The small white dog. He's like, this is my dog, Samantha. I'm like, what a fucking human name to give to a dog. Well, this is our dog, Caesar. And then she just turned to leave, and I see he's put out chairs. Why in a semicircle? Why? It's like, but don't you want to see? No! Do people normally see? Oh yeah, what the fuck? We will wait in the car and you tell us when this horrible experience has finished. He's like, I will supervise. Better not participate, dude. Way too into this. Go sit in the car. 30 minutes goes by already. Right? It's quite impressive. This is 30 minutes. It's my dog. Then that guy comes, what's wrong with your dog? Takes us to the garden where we see Samantha is chasing my dog, who is running away from sex that we have purchased. Samantha's like, come on. My dog is like, chee, auntie, yuck. No. Try to motivate him. We're like, come on. How about you run in a different order? How about that? Try that. One thrust. Come on. It's not doing anything. So we take him back. That guy won't return our money because apparently you pay for Samantha's time. We're like, all right, creepy. Okay. We come home, it becomes my responsibility to entertain the dog. Not in the way creeps are assuming. What I tried was simple negative motivation. Yeah. Dog was licking himself. Every time he did, I would go, bah! Stop licking himself. I'd follow him around all day. Bah! He got clever. I'm fucking right there. Do it. Do it. And he always resented me, but I was like, small price to pay for fully functional dog. Not like I had so much time. I'm sitting and writing letters to myself. Think I have free time to be entertaining a dog? You know, if you read the letter, the tone of it is quite miserable. It's written by a very sad person. It used to be very like melancholy child. And the day I wrote the letter was a really, really bad day. I was 15, feeling like shit anyway. Went to school. First thing in the morning, got birthday bumps. Okay? Which after traveling the world, I have realized other countries do not do. And while explaining what it was to them, the true cruelty of the activity came out. I'm like, okay, so when is your birthday? Your friends, who you love and trust, accost you and hold you in the air. Then they take turns kicking you as punishment for not dying yet. One kick for each year you could have died but did not. And one more for good luck, which if you had, people would not be kicking you. Important detail, not my birthday that day. But whenever it was anyone's birthday, they got birthday bumps and then me. And there are a lot of birthdays in a calendar year. As a kid, I was like, I'm just so happy to be included. As an adult, I'm like, that's bullying, dude. But don't worry, I make a lot more money than those guys now. That's fun to say, but it's not true. Sometimes nothing good happens to anybody. Getting birthday bumps, I was worried they would break my watch. So I found one guy standing close by. You know how every class has a thief that is just known That's Rohit, he's a thief. Everybody knows Rohit, thief, yeah. Even Rohit's like, gotta do what you gotta do, man. Rohit is standing there. I was like, Rohit, hold my watch. 2 minutes I will be back, Rohit. I will get kicked and come. Please give me my watch then. Rohit is like, no problem. Get kicked, come back. Rohit, where is my watch? It is not there. Not, I don't have it. It is not there. The watch is gone. Out of existence. He's like, why don't you check the lost and found department? Fuck, man. Go to the lost and found department. That's an over-explained name, no? Just found is sufficient. Found by definition means it was lost. If you find things that aren't lost, that's stealing. Two teachers run the lost and found. I was like, hello, have you seen my watch? No. Where did you see it last? Well, I'd given it to Rohit. Why you gave it to him? He's a thief. Got kicked, watch gone, super upset. Come home. I was like, I need to take my mind off. Start playing video games. Played Street Fighter. Losing at Street Fighter. And when you lose at Street Fighter, it's extremely harsh. Because on the screen, in big letters, it says, you lose. It doesn't say, you lost. It's making a general statement about the kind of person you are. Oh, you lose. People do many things. Rohit steals and you lose. Continue? What the fuck? Thought I'd play a different game. That your landmark game had come out, called Grand Theft Auto 3. Oh, fans of GTA. First time in a video game, you could do anything you felt like. You could do whatever the fuck. Go steal guns, steal a car, go run over people. The police comes, you can kill the police. Then they send the army, which you can also kill. And if in the middle of that, by mistake, if you die, you are just alive again in the hospital, but without guns. Go back to stealing guns. But it was too much freedom for my mentality at the time. Like, you can do anything. Yes, but what are you supposed to do? Anything, go wild. Yes, but what is objective? I looked it up and I found out exactly the shit you needed to do. Did all that, finished the game. End of the game, you get statistics, right? Which is how many times you've died, how many people you've killed. And a very interesting thing called completion percentage. And it said completion percentage, 12%. Huh? I finished the game. That's 100%. I said, no. You've just reached the ending. But you only did 12% of all of the things you could have done. Well, fuck. What if life is like that? What if you die, you go to the afterlife, and they give you a report card? 3%. You didn't do any of the side missions. Like what? Like, see, here at a party, someone gave you a joint, you said no thanks. 15%? All right. You loved someone, you wanted to tell them, instead you said, bye! It was a dare! It wasn't a dare. So then I realized, I don't know, maybe it was how the day was going, I was feeling so shit. I was like, this is the problem with my life. I don't do any of the side missions. So from that day, I decided, from now on, I will finish life at 100%. Will do everything I need to do 100%. Live life to the fullest. First thing I did was got a motivational book. Open it. You know what motivational books say? Don't stop, never stop. You can do it. Don't stop. First, don't stop. This book will finish at some point. I'll have to stop. It said, if you don't have goals, how will you achieve goals? Which is true. If you don't have rice, how will you eat rice? So it said, write down your goals. So I wrote down all of my goals, made 2 copies, put one in a letter to my future self. That's the one I found. This is only one page. There are 10 more. I've just brought one for convenience. That day, started achieving goals. Writing, achieving success. Next goal. If possible, it's not a good starting to a goal. If possible, find love. That's the goal. Work your way towards, if possible. That time I used to believe the Bollywood idea that there's someone for everyone. God has made people in pairs. Then I realized this is an easily testable thesis. Look up the total population of the world, see if it's divisible by 2. Because if it's an odd number, there is no love. Or there is no God. The great thing about odd numbers is, if you subtract 1 from any odd number, you get an even number. Which means there's someone for everyone, except for one person. That could be you. But I thought, let's try. I really like this girl. Let's call her Neha, because that was her name. Good reason to call her Neha. This is pre-cell phone, so I called her landline. Who picks up? Mom. Oh, fucking always. Hello? 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 You're trying to act like you're from a good family. Hi. Namaste. Please, can I Neha speaking? Please, Neha speaking, can I? Neha speaking, I can. I am Neha. That's not it. Please, can I speak to Neha? That's the one. Mom asks the question you have not yet considered. Why? Notes? Notes. Why don't you have notes? I don't have hands. And so therefore, I am unable to write notes. And Neha, she has hands. And she uses those hands to write notes. I am given to believe. If you don't have hands, how are you holding the phone? Like this, auntie. What the? You can't see me. Mom says, okay. Puts the phone off the hook. Here's the thing that no parent knows. If you put a phone off the hook, person who's called can still hear everything. So don't unfold your family dynamics at that chosen instance. Okay, Peter, 1 minute. Neha! Neha! Wait, Neha! 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 20 more minutes. Finally, they find Neha, who was in the bathroom. Yeah, sure, Neha. She gets to the phone. Right before she picks up the phone, her mom will say the most embarrassing thing. She's been saving up, so people don't call the house anymore. She picks up the phone, gets it till here. Mom will like, pick up your panties first. Mom! Shut up! उठा लेना एक मिनट. I'm on the phone. Mom goes away. Finally, my time. Hi, would you like to go to a party? And then I hung up the phone. And then she went to a party. And I did not get permission. Also did not specify who I was. She just knows a mysterious angel told her to go to a party. Met a boyfriend there. This is a great turn. Next goal. Try to be... Yeah, it gets a little ambiguous. Try to be an athlete. Goal is to try. Why can't you try? How can you be 100% without athletics? Until then, I was lazy as fuck, okay? I was the kind of kid who would, in games of gully cricket, I would declare. Which, if you don't know, is the best rule in any game. Built into the fabric of cricket is a means for you to say, I would like to stop playing now. I've played enough, now your turn, you play. I took this concept, applied it to other games. You're playing hide and seek. I'm supposed to look for them. Guys declare. No. Now, of course, everything is different. 100%. Went to school the next day. I was like, yo, put me in athletics. Said, it doesn't work like that. You can't just come and shout, put me in athletics. We'll put you. Please. Now, luckily that day, there was a race happening, okay, a relay. 4 into 100 meters relay. Which, first of all, finish the equation, right? Yeah. It's 400. Why is suspense? You know 4 into 100 meters relay? 4 people run 100 meters each. Number 3, luckily, had diarrhea. Right. He still wanted to run. Right. They were like, we've just marked the field. Don't now remark it. Put me in his place. Considering that, motivated as shit. At number 3, get the baton from the previous guy. Poof, set off. Start running as fast as I can, as fast as my legs would take me. In my head, goals. Don't stop, never stop. You can do it. Sweat is good, whatever they say on Instagram. Just running. Saw the finish line, tunnel vision. Poof, ran right towards the finish line. Which you shouldn't do if you're number 3. You should run to the next person and stop. Instead, I went right past that dude, past the finish line, smashed into a table, and passed out. I woke up, I was like, did we win? Nobody won. Why didn't you stop? Never stop. Well, technically the race is still going on. Would you like to go back and finish it? No, I think we should declare. But you hit your head pretty hard, dude. Are you feeling all right? Yeah, actually, just a little thirsty. Last goal I'll read for you. And this one you can all apply. It says, be good to your friends. Should be good to your friends. Do you guys have a friend in your life whose life is worse than yours? No, but that's like the reason for your friendship. Is the perspective that they unknowingly provide. And anytime you come home, you're like, what a shit life I have. Your friend is like, hi. You're like, oh, yeah. Could have been that. If you don't have a friend like that, it's you. It's important to have friendships because why do we have friendships? Friendships are created for the even distribution of sadness. Sadness is a fundamental quantity in nature. It's not created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. If you're feeling sad, you go find someone, hey, I'm feeling sad. Now they're sad. Say some shit to somebody else, they'll sad, do something else, make you sad again. That's how it works. It's a law of conservation of sadness. Came home one day, friend is sitting inside my house already. I'm like, hey man, Kanan, feeling sad. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm here for, dude. Talk to me, textbook to textbook. Let's do this. Our friendship is like we just make fun of each other until someone laughs, then you heal. It's like, I took some online tests, man. and it says, I have extreme depression. It's like, fuck, dude. Is that bad? How could it be good? Well, because there are two extremes. So then, what if you're... Really? A PJ? It's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm just trying to make you laugh. Explain to me, what is it like? He's like, that's the problem. You won't understand. I feel like I have a pain inside me that's everywhere I go, no matter what I do. I don't feel like there's a point to doing anything. And no matter what experience I'm having, it's always colored by the pain that I feel inside. There's no way you'll know what that's like, Kanan. Sounds like a hernia, actually, what you're saying. And then he laughed, so we keep talking. He's like, do you ever think about suicide? Yours or mine? What's wrong with thinking? I didn't say that to him, of course. I gave him the classic line, hey, if you ever need anything, just let me know. Ever say that to someone? Pretty dangerous statement. You're volunteering all of your services at any time. What do they call you now? 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, can you rub almond oil on my butt? Pro tip, if you ever rub almond oil on someone's butt, you should rub inwards. Because if you rub out, then you're gonna... I'm a good friend. That's all I'm really saying. He says, Karan, sometimes I feel like a failure. And you know what they say? That failure is a stepping stone to our eventual suicide. They don't say that? Well, that's what happens in Julius Caesar. Spoilers, if you haven't read. When they kill Caesar, they're like, what a great idea this is. But by the end, it's the fall of the Roman Republic. And by the end, every single person who stabbed Caesar gets killed or kills themselves, including Brutus, who's in a unique dilemma. Because he wants to kill himself. But if he kills himself, no one will remember him as being noble. So he's like, what the fuck do I do now? He calls his friend, hey man, feeling sad. If you ever need anything, glad you asked, actually. Can you hold my sword over there for 1 minute? The guy's like, yo, why you want me to hold your sword? Weird. And then Brutus runs on the sword, stabs himself, and dies that way. And his friend is like, dude, fuck! What's wrong with you? You've just made me murder you. You said if I ever needed... Yeah, not anything. Aham gachami. Hey. I know this is a comedy show, but you should never joke about suicide because life is a gift and suicide is a return gift. No, thank you. I wasn't using it. It says on the box, fun. It's not. No, but I am legally required to say that if you know someone who is suicidal, you should recommend professional help. Not to do it. Do not. So I'm being very clear. Came home with my friend. I'm like, man, let's find you a therapist. We're online looking at therapists in Mumbai, where we live. Dude, therapists, they're so expensive. Found this lady, highly recommended. Per session, per hour, she charges 5,000 rupees. Yeah, I was like, dude, you can fuck a dog for that much. You see what you like. I don't judge. Never judge. Because I'm invested in his well-being. Of course I am. We've been friends for ages. We've been friends from school. We were in the same band together. We were in the same play together in the theatrical production of Julius Caesar. He was there. I was the director. Made a mistake in casting. Caesar and Brutus played by identical twins. So it was a confusing play for the audience. Why that guy stabbing himself? Oh, is it like Fight Club? It's actually one guy? Not like Fight Club. And the part people are supposed to feel sad, they're laughing because it looks so ridiculous. I fixed this as a director and played sad music. So people know we're supposed to feel sad. Sad music composed by my band, Rubber Band. I know it's a PJ. It's better than our original name, The Knee Thing. Yeah, so you know when it's like when you're sitting and chilling and someone comes up to you, put their hand on your knee, and then they do this. And the look in your eyes when they do it, right? Feels weird, right? Yeah. People had theories also for this feeling. Someone was like, if someone does this to you and you feel ticklish, that means you're a virgin. Right? And if you feel nothing, that means you had sex. Only one thing is for sure. If you are doing this to test other people's virginities, you are a virgin. It was the entry criteria for a band. Call people, extend your knee. Welcome to the band. There were 4 of us in Rubber Band. Can I play you one of our songs, actually? Would that be okay? All right, great. Okay, so this is an original song by my band, Rubber Band. I don't know why I cleared my throat before playing something from the phone. Original song, my band, Rubber Band. Right, sorry. We had only one instrument. Between the 4 of us? So like one guy used to play the piano, and then we would stand around him to provide emotional support. You play, man. Thanks, guys. I used to try to get shows from my band. So, hey, can you please give my band a show? People would say, no, we only hire cover bands that play cover songs. Came back home, told the guys, hey, we need to be doing cover songs. Now, we should have looked up what that means. Instead, we wrote a song about covering things. I'd like to play you that song. So we're an instrumental band. It's not super clear what the song is about because there are no lyrics, but you feel covered, right? Later, someone told us, idiots, a cover song is a song written by a different band that you play. Cover bands play songs of other bands. We're like, okay, that's much easier, right? So we did the obvious thing, is we made one more band. Called Rubber Band Cover Band. Where we used to cover the songs that we only wrote. In Rubber Band. I'd like to play you one of those songs. We added a clap. It's a cover after all. First of all, can I say, I think we're the best cover band in the entire world. Sound exactly like the original. And what cover band also has the original members of the band? And because we were teenagers, we were like, we want to do art, not commerce. Art. Pure, true art. Who knows what art is better than teenagers? So we're like, the name of our album should be like a metaphor. You know, like stabbing in the back, like a metaphor. Like a metaphor. So then we called it a metaphor. Like literally uses. Because we weren't sure what a metaphor was exactly. I remember back then asking my English teacher, I was like, what is a metaphor? Like, Karan, a metaphor is kind of like a simile, but like without like. One more time. Karan, is like a measure used to weigh two concepts against each other. Now that, of course, is a simile. But the meaning of it is what a metaphor is. One more time with different words. Karan, why aren't you understanding? Now, because our English teacher was also our maths teacher. That's how it is sometimes. He's like, you know how in maths class I explained to you problems on the board? Well, the purpose that that board serves as a tool of explanation is the same purpose that a metaphor serves as a part of speech in conversation. Now do you understand? I think I'm having a stroke, actually. The Karan, why are you an idiot? Go home, sleep on it, come tomorrow. Went home. Came back the next day. I was like, I got it! So the conversation we had yesterday is a metaphor for how bad you are as a teacher. Now you understand. Still don't. Best thing is, many of you came to the show knowing what a metaphor was. And now, you're not so sure anymore. This is the only show you leave with less information than you came with. But let's try it. I like the way my English/maths teacher tried to explain. If I explain something to you on a board, the purpose that that board serves is the same as a metaphor. If you can understand that, you can understand a metaphor. So let's try it. Full disclosure, it's never worked. Not even once. Maybe you guys are the chosen ones. This part, are you clapping for yourself? Wow. The hubris is strong. All right, for this part, I like to explain my favorite riddle, okay? I'll say what it is in Hindi and then in English. In Hindi, it goes, तीतर के दो आगे तीतर, तीतर के दो पीछे तीतर, बोलो कितने तीतर? In English, first of all, what the fuck is a तीतर? तीतर is a partridge. Partridge is a bird. Bird is a ka. Sky. That's how much I can explain. So in English, the puzzle goes, two partridge in front of partridge, two partridge behind partridge, how many partridge? All right? So what's the answer, audience? What do you think? 3, 4, 5. Okay, don't worry. That's why I am here. Let us understand. Consider a teeter. T0. Because this is computer science. First one is 0. What's the 50th one? 4988. So it says two theta's in front of theta. So you need one over here. This is T1. So one more guy over here. This is T2. First thing you realize at this point is when I do this, you're like, oh, he's good at drawing. And by the end, you're like, it was a fluke. Two thetas in front of theta. When they say two behind, behind which one? That's the trick. If it's behind T2, the condition is satisfied with 3. If it's behind T1, need another guy over here. Can't be T-1. We're not savages. It's TA. Two behind this one. Need another guy over here. This is TB. That means the gender solution for the total number of teethers, TN, lies between the inclusive limits. 3, 5. Sorry. I used to work in the software industry. Some habits are hard to shake. I started doing software like 10 years ago, but for the passion, you know. Yeah. There was no money in software at the time. Like 4 of us, we used to meet once a week, go to like software open mic. See whose software could get the most laughs, exciting time. All of us hated our jobs, so we're like, we can quit our jobs, do software full time. Exciting. Just kept doing, kept getting better at software. Started making software YouTube videos. That was a good idea. Quit my job, doing software full time now. Now it's amazing. Before my software shows, 1 person used to come, 2 people used to come. Now it's sold out, doing auditoriums full of software. It's fucking exciting. What a time. Setting goals, achieving. Setting goals, achieving. This year, did a software world tour. Now, I'm shooting a software special. Setting goals, achieving. But in the middle of that, I found this letter. And it reminded me how miserable I used to be. I was like, well, I'm miserable now as well. The fuck has changed? Thought I would achieve all these goals, then it would be fine. But it's not fine. I've done this, done everything on the 10 other sheets. I've done notebooks full of goals. I keep setting, I keep achieving. It never feels like anything. I was like, is my whole point of view on life wrong? Have I wasted my time trying to use it? Have I somehow stabbed myself in the back? The rest of the letter also so fucking sad. Hey man, I hope you do all the things. Hope you can be happy one day. I'm doing my part starting tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to run the relay. Hope I don't smash into a table, because that would be relay table. All that for this. Got so mind fucked. Came home, didn't know what to think. Friend is sitting at home. Hey man. I was like, not today, hey man. I'm feeling sad. If you ever need anything, you know I'm here. Talk to me, textbook to textbook. I was like, read this letter. Isn't this fucked up? Yeah, dude. You know the date is on the left, right? Yeah. I have a genuine problem. Don't make fun. He's like, I'm very sorry, Kanan. And can I just tell you, never told you this before. Watching you get through life gives me so much hope. Because I'm like, if Kanan can get through it, what right do I have to complain? It's like, you don't fucking, I for you do that. My life is worse. What? I'm just trying to finish life at 100%, trying to live life to the fullest. He's like, hey, how much ever you live, life is full. You're not going to die and someone will say, hey, you left a little bit. 2 sips. Finish. I don't want to put it in the fridge. Finish. Yeah, man, but when are goals supposed to end? Kanan, you can do whatever you want for however long you want, and then you can declare. The answer is not out there. It's in here, in your textbook. Oh, thanks, I guess, man. Here I am trying to climb Mount Everest. You know what's at the top of Mount Everest? It's the bodies of the people who failed and the garbage of the people who succeeded. It's not a smart endeavor on the whole. So Mount Everest is a metaphor. Right? No, idiot, the letter is a metaphor. The whole thing, that was the metaphor. Metaphor. PJ. Oh, you know so much about the letter? I'm not even real. I'm just someone you made up in the show to talk about your own depression. So this is like Fight Club. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not the moral you should be taking away from this piece of art. This is not art. This isn't art. This is